Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. Oscar Mike Radio is about the military and veterans, their stories, and the people who support us. And again, I'm blessed and I'm excited to have another, music artist guest on Oscar Mike Radio. And there's a lot of reasons why. And I want to, thank you in advance for the, ability to talk with you all about this. And the guest I have is not new to the music scene, but an up and coming artist with a new single that just dropped. Payton Howie, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm savage. Savage. I'm attacking life, Payton, and it's great to talk with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. My new single Freedom just dropped today, so I could honestly not be any happier.
Well, I heard it, and we'll get that in a minute. But first, we gotta go back a little bit. If I understand correctly, you've been singing, performing almost all your life.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved music. I've always loved all kinds of different genres. And my folks, they owned a little mom and pop restaurant when I was growing up, probably about 6 or 7 years old. And they used to always have live music playing, different local artists playing, traditional country and, some country rock music. And I'd always be like peeking my head around the corner, watching them play. And that's kind of where I fell in love with music.
So you fall in love with music, but what made you say, you know what, I'm really going to take this and do something with it?
Well, so there's kind of a flip side to that. So when I was 5, my mom took me to my first concert, and I was there, and I was like dancing out in the aisles at this like outdoor arena, and it was a Carrie Underwood concert. So she brought me up on stage, and I got to see like just the faces of everyone. She was like holding my hand, and we were singing, and I was only 5, but I'm telling you, I remember this like it was yesterday. And we were singing this song. It was her Some Hearts tour, which is, I'm just going to say, in my opinion, the best album that she has. It's so good. And I just remember seeing everybody's faces and everyone just thriving and having like connecting with the music. And I remember thinking like, I want to do that. I want to be able to bring music to people and put it out there for people to love and enjoy and just to vibe with, on different kinds of emotions. And that's kind of where I fell in love with the idea of pursuing music as a career.
Awesome. So I ask all the artists who've come on Oscar Mike Radio this question.
All right.
So you know how in the last year, I think, was it Neil Young or Bob Dylan sold his music catalog for $250 million, and somebody else did the same thing.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney sold his stake in the Beatles. So here's the question, Payton. I ask all of them, and you're no different, no special treatment for you.
All right.
I have a check I'm going to hand you, well, for let's say $300 million right now.
Okay.
If I give you this check, you can never sing in public or perform for an audience ever again. You can forgo all the practice and the sacrifice and the pain and suffering and the artistic frustration. Have the money right now, but you can never perform in public again. Would you take the check?
No, absolutely not.
What?
I wouldn't. I couldn't.
I am 0 for 0 on this. Wow. Why not?
There's so many reasons. Okay, where do I start with this? Honestly, okay, so music is like my soul, I have more of like an artistic brain. So when it comes to math, don't even ask me math questions. Like, I don't even care. But I have more of an artistic brain, and music is what brings me joy. I love playing music. Naturally, I'm more of an artist, not so much of a performer. Like, I'm not like, hey, look at me. Like, that's not my personality. But being able to perform music and share music that I've written or songs that I love with anyone in general is probably something that I would say has brought me the most joy ever. And I honestly would not trade it for anything.
Done. So I think I'm like 7-0, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, no artist has taken the money ever.
Please let me know if someone does, because I really would like to talk with them and see why.
Well, in one hand, I can understand it, but two, I mean, I don't know if I could do that. Like, if you told me that, hey, you can take the money now but never do a show again. And when they do that, they sell all the creative control over their stuff that they produce. It just that'd be a hard no for me. I don't care how broke I am.
Yeah, I would agree. It's like, this is what I love to do, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Because I mean, it would make sense if I was doing it, like, oh, I'm doing it for the money, but I'm really not.
This is a part of you. This is who you are, and you love doing it.
Yeah.
All right. So you get into music. Now, who would you say, besides Carrie Underwood, obviously, who would you say is your musical influence? Who inspires you musically?
I tend to take more of a traditional country influence in not most, but part of my sound. I love Reba. I would say Reba is definitely one of my biggest influences. I would say, in the country music world, she's got to be one of the best storytellers. And just the way she portrays a song, like she could be singing any story and she'll tell it the best. Loretta Lynn too. I think she has this sass that is unlike any other, especially traditional woman of country. Like, you're not going to see that anywhere besides Loretta Lynn. And I'd have to also go with Gretchen Wilson, because like her voice and just, she could be singing the alphabet and you'd want to party to it. That's just how she is.
So a little, are you kind of an old soul then when you get your inspiration? I mean, because those, Reba and Loretta are like, and I'll admit this, I'm not a country music fan, Payton. I'm a metalhead.
That's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. I'll convert you.
Well, I'll tell you. So, okay, so I have an admission then. I didn't know who Jason Aldean or Luke Bryan were. Yeah, it was,
Okay.
that was a bad conversation in Nashville, let me tell you. But you really go back in the catalog, you're not the pop country, right? You go to an older source for your inspiration, it seems.
Yeah, I would say definitely, because I will say that I think the country music industry nowadays is a lot different than it used to be. I think there is some good in it, but I definitely think it has changed a lot. And I think a lot of the times when you look at the artists that are, topping the charts and things like that, they're all great, but it's missing that traditional country sound. And I mean, that's great, but it's hard when you take a pop song and throw it in the country music category and say, hey, this is country music now. That's hard. Like, put it in the pop category. Like, because there is so much great country music out there that people are still producing. It's just, I want to be able to take that traditional, authentic country sound and bring it to the country industry. Like, and not that no one else is doing that, because there are a ton of artists that are, but I think, it needs to be brought back. And something that I love is when I have, fans or supporters that are younger, maybe like middle school, coming into high school age. And they're like, I love, Reba and Loretta Lynn. And they're like telling me, I love that song you covered. And I'm like, I want to bring back that love for traditional country music, like real country. And when I have like young, kids like telling me that, oh, I love that song you covered. And I'm like, that's traditional country, man. I love that. So I want to bring it back.
So you want to bring it back. So what part of the artistic process do you like about doing that? What really, keeps you going artistically to find that sound?
I think that when I'm saying like bring traditional country into my music,
yeah,
a lot of my songs that I'm working on, especially my 5-song EP that I have coming out at the end of this year, each song is like a different part of my heart, and it's telling a story, or it's just bringing like a different impact. I think a lot of the songs nowadays get lost on general statements. Like, I think when you listen to like Reba's music or like Dolly Parton, like you listen to their songs and they're telling stories. They're telling like stories and songs that are gonna like change your life. And I think that like that's music. That's country music. And
so I was telling Ashley Amber this, excuse me. I said, this is my problem with country music. A lot of it is, I lost my girlfriend. my truck's out of gas and my beer fridge is empty. Woe is me. I mean, it's basically those 3 or 4 themes. My dog left. I'm like, give me something else. And so you're trying to bring that storytelling aspect back.
Yeah, I think that that is something that people like have, like when people fall in love with country music, I think that's what it is they fall in love with hearing a story, because that's some of the best songs that you'll hear in the world. And whether it's country or not, I'm guaranteed they're either telling you a story or they're speaking to your heart, something that you can relate to. And it's like, yeah, I want to bring that back. I want that to be something that people know me for.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell me about your single Freedom that just dropped, because I listened to it and I thought I'm like, oh my God, this is actually like somebody who's enjoying life here in America. Tell me how that came about, because that was pretty cool to me.
Thank you. So Freedom came to be, I wrote Freedom with my good friends, Eric Halbig, Michael Austin, and Joanna Yeager out in Nashville. We sat down and we were writing, and honestly, it started because I was just saying how much I love America, like I do, and how much like love and respect that I have for our military and our first responders, because that's something that's always been, a part of my heart. Like even before we wrote Freedom, that's always been something that I've had, that I've tried to, intertwine throughout my music, is going and performing. Like I'm supposed to be going on the USO tour. I performed at Freedom Jam. That's a benefit for our veterans and first responders, and I'm in our active military too. So that's something that's always been on my heart. And we wrote this song, and when you listen to it, it's kind of this story of, it starts off as like, like a young teenage girl growing up in America, first time driving her dad's truck, Friday night lights, and, like sneaking beer and stuff like that. And then it kind of turns into something more serious where she's dating this boy, and he turns 18 and he enlists into the military, and he asks her, like, will you wait for me? And so that's kind of like the story that's tied into there. But the feeling of, being in love with someone that is, willing to go out and fight for our freedom, that's kind of something that I feel like not a ton of people talk about. And I thought that would be something cool to tie into this. And so writing that with my co-writers was awesome. And studio musicians brought it to life. So I'm stoked about that.
Well, that does lead to my next question. You kind of answered it. Is, it's funny, when I was in boot camp, we're writing the females in our lives at the time, hey, this sucks, wait for me. But you're right, you rarely ever hear what it's like for a girl, a young woman, if you will, who's 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. And she's been dating this guy for, a year, 2 years, all their high school, life. And now all of a sudden he's 1,000 miles away and could be further in a couple months. And how do you deal with all
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any
That's kind
personal
of like,
connection there? Is that something you've experienced or seen somebody else experience?
no, I haven't, but I know that like my great grandfather, he was a World War II veteran. And I know that him and my great grandmother, they were married, and she was like 13 and he went off, and it was like, that's a story. And I know that they had kids, and like they grew up and they had their family, and he came back and they were still in love and they were together. And I know that like there's so many other people out there like that have those stories. So it's not a personal experience for me. I still have that love and respect for our veterans and our military and our first responders as well. And I'm glad that Freedom was something that I could put out there to get people in that patriotic mood, because I know that nowadays, I think in today's world, that's kind of something that we're missing a lot, especially with everything that's going on. So,
Well, if I may, I would say that you have or are living that experience. Yay, grandma, for hanging in there during World War II. Awesome. And yeah, I got that sense that, Payton Howie is glad she's American. She understands that freedom's not free. And it was refreshing, honestly, whether you're country or not, or metal. I was taken back by that, how authentically that came across in your song. Was that something you really strove for?
yeah, I remember we were sitting there writing the song, and one of my co-writers, Michael Austin, he was sitting there talking to me. He's like, so explain to me like these feelings. And I could go on for hours. I was like, I'm so proud of where I live, I know that there is no other country in the world that could compare to the country that we live in. I know we're not perfect. I know that things happen, but it's like the fact that I can, go about my day and believe in what I believe in, and, do what I, feel in my heart. And I can have the freedom to do that because other people chose to go out and fight for that freedom. I think that is something to be proud of. And I think that's something I'm eternally grateful for. What, some people may not be, but it's like, I want to be someone that's like, I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, because I have so many relatives and friends and family that have, gone out and done that and dedicated their life. And not only that, but the families of people that have gone out and done that. I think that's like, it blows my mind to think that someone could be so selfless to do that. So thank you for your service.
Well, much appreciated. And I love the fact that you're thinking that way. And, we were talking before we came on about how certain artists, certain people, certain celebrities don't feel the way you feel. And it's kind of sad to me in a way that you're the outlier now, where you embrace this country, because you're right. You don't have to go very far out in this world to understand what a special place we do live in. So thank you.
Yeah.
One thing I have to cover is, how have you adapted to, you're getting your career going, you're trying to work and record and tour, but hey, we got this thing called COVID-19 that shut all this down. This is kind of what I want to understand is, you've had to probably adapt and overcome a lot of adversity and obstacles in your career, because you've been doing this for a while now. How did you adjust around that?
Well, I will say I was one of the lucky people in America. As far as the music industry goes, where I didn't have as much of a struggle. Yeah, there were some things here and there, but in between COVID, I started playing shows out in Texas. And if anyone is familiar with Texas, Texas kind of likes to do its own thing. And I was lucky enough to have opportunities to play shows at the places that were still staying open, and shows that were, still kind of like open to the public and things like that. And also, not to mention, I've been doing a lot, like live streams and, interacting with people on Instagram and Facebook, and, doing live concerts and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been interesting, but we all, we've made it work, especially not to mention that I recorded my 5-song EP just a couple months ago, kind of almost at the peak of this whole thing. And, we got it going, everything went great. And honestly, I wouldn't say that it has stifled my career much at all. It's honestly been a very low, not really thought about it thing, but especially when it comes to shows and being in Texas. So I'm all
God
good.
bless Texas. God bless Texas. I lived near Texas for a while, and would go to Texas all the time. And I'm like, man, they're not exaggerating. Everything's big, and it's just there's America, and then there's Texas, right?
Oh yeah.
Right, right. Well, awesome. So, one of the things we kind of talked about that I wanted you to cover is, there's a lot of veterans like myself who, we have to reinvent ourselves a couple times in our life. And we get out of the military and we try things, or we get out of the military, we get a job, we get going, and we want to try, acting, we want to try, pottery or art, and you get in those slumps. What would you tell a veteran like myself who's trying to, get their thing going, and they just seem to hit, challenge after challenge after challenge, and it's like, do I even want to do this anymore? Because I think a lot of us who serve need to hear that, because we think we're alone sometimes.
Honestly, there's so much I would want to say to somebody that is feeling that way. And obviously I can't literally relate to that situation, but
As an
something
artist,
I would,
as an artist.
yes, yeah. As an artist,
Right.
something I would say is like, I mean, I'm young, I'm only 19, but in being in the industry, I've been lucky enough to find the other people in the industry that are going to have my back and support me, and that are going to be there for me when I'm having challenges or something I'm learning, and they're going to be there and support me no matter what's going on. And obviously that starts out with your family, but even like stretching further out, and I can only really speak for the music industry, but I will say that I've met some of the most humble and just most genuine musicians that have worked with like huge artists, and they're just so humble and down to earth. And there are those people out there. I had my EP that I recorded, I had Mike Johnson, who was Reba's steel player, and I had Dolly's bass player, Garth's bass player, Tim McGraw's keys player, and they were all just like, hey, yeah, like we're here to help you and we're here to support you and record this EP, like whatever you want. And they, like the fact that someone could have success and still be humble and be down to earth goes to show that there are people out there that are going to reach out and help you regardless of your disability or your barrier that you're feeling that like that you're hitting, or your age or your insecurities. There are people out there like that, and I've been lucky enough to get to meet those people, so I know they're out there.
So it's a combination of just perseverance, but also surrounding yourself with the right kind of people who really believe in you.
Yeah, it's there are those people out there that are gonna sit there and be there, and like no matter what it takes, I'm gonna be there and help you. And I want to be one of those people that's like, if you ever need anything, like reach out, because that's what I want to be here for.
Well, one of the things that, I talked to several artists like yourselves who've been doing this at a young age till now, whether it's 19, 25, or 30, is when you think about it, you've been involved in this for, let's just round it up, say 15 years of your life. Now, for a lot of people, if you get out of college when you're 22, 23, 24, and start your work career, you're about 40 years old, you know, you have experience at a younger age that someone at the same age doesn't have just starting out. So it's got to be a different perspective for you going through some of these things now because you've already done it.
Yeah, I would say that like I was saying before, I've been lucky enough. I remember growing up in my hometown and these just super talented, guys sitting there at little dive bars or whatever, just like clubs. And I would just get to sit there and just watch and learn from them. And because I just had a love for music. I mean, I may not have been the best singer or the best guitar player or performer, but I was like, I love music and I wanted to sit there and learn from them. And they were, willing to teach me. And yeah, I think it's all just about being teachable, because someone can be completely amazing and not be teachable or humble or whatever it is that you think is like necessary. But if you have that perseverance and obviously those people that are willing to help you along the way, that's kind of the key, I think.
Well, this is really cool, Payton. Today is May 28th. Your
Yeah.
single Freedom drops today. The video drops when?
On Memorial Day at 2 p.m. Central Time.
So just a couple of days, the video drops. I'm going to have both the video and the single link in the show post. This show will drop Thursday, June 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm really excited for you because, yeah, the song does take you through the journey of young love and separation of that person going away in the military. So I think that was a very interesting angle. Last little question I didn't get before we start is, do you enjoy playing an instrument more or singing more?
I never had anyone ask me that, and honestly, I could not pick, because I love to sing. I love to use my voice as an instrument, and I will say that I've learned a lot playing the guitar. I've learned so much, and I'm still learning. I think the guitar tends to be something that I focus on a little bit more, just because I am still learning that, and it's just kind of a little fun thing to do. And singing is something that kind of comes more naturally for me, but I don't know if there's one that I like more than the other. I gotta say I like them both.
Well, awesome, awesome. And you've got a show tonight, right? You're doing a show here in not very much longer, right?
Yeah, I got a show down in Houston.
Awesome, awesome. So, hey, folks, we're gonna, shut it down here. I want to thank you, Peyton, for coming on and talking with me at Oscar Mike Radio. I really, really enjoyed the single Freedom and how it kind of hit me in the feels for, this weekend, Memorial Day coming up. And I wish you nothing but success for your career. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So before we shut this down, the single is Freedom, right?
Yes, it's out
It,
now.
It's out now. It dropped as we're talking right now. She has the video coming out on Memorial Day, and you have an EP coming out when?
End of this year. Can't be specific, but it's coming this year.
End of this year, just in time for Christmas, hopefully. As we say in Oscar Mike Radio, with your mission flight, Payton, again, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.